I wanted a place for people to receive authentic guidance and practical ways to awaken. Thought-provoking, paradigm-shifting, and empowering. This is about expanding our human consciousness to create a wave of new possibilities. I'm Dr. Theresa Bullard-Whyke, and this is Quantum Minds TV.
So many of the indigenous traditions, from the shamans in the Yucatan and the Andes of Peru, and when I was in Tibet, and certainly the Aboriginals, and when I'm with the Bedouin in Egypt, they all begin these processes in the heart and with breath. Mm-hmm. So it's that, I think, is one of the keys to practically applying this inner technology, and the alchemy is part of this, because we are changed in the presence of our coherence. We are changed biologically, and we change the way we feel emotionally.
Well, it's so interesting too, because in the fetus, the very first organ that starts to operate is the heart. And then it starts to create a harmonic with the mother's heart. And then the ear and the brain start to be programmed by that early heartbeat within the fetus. And, so you have the heartbeat of the mother, the breath of the mother, the heartbeat of the baby. And then these are programming and sending the signals up to the brain for it to be developed. And, so these are the early rhythms. And then for it to also have this 0.1 hertz resonance with the fundamental frequency of the Earth's magnetic energy, and that is, like tuning into that heartbeat of Mother Gaia as well. Mm-hmm. And isn't it that this 0.1 hertz also is a resonant energy that runs through the vagus nerve? Does the vagus nerve kind of is that main nerve that connects the brain and the heart and the gut and all the organs?
It's like the super highway. It begins right at the base of the skull and goes down into the base of the spine. And it has so many access points. When you look at the vagus nerve, it has access points out to the eyes, and so there are eye movements that can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. It has access points to the mouth, and that's why when you smile, you're actually triggering that relaxation response into the lungs. That's why the breath is important. Into the genital area, and that's why many of the ancient tantric practices also tie into this. So it's like the super highway of the information. Yeah. And that's why it's been so important in, so many traditions. Yeah.
Well, what I love is that these ancient traditions, without knowing the science about it, they, through experience, learned the tools and the methods that, again, the power was in their own hands to harness these, things within us. And they didn't know the ins and outs of what was going on in the body, but they did know from an experiential level the impact that it was having upon us. And they saw not only was it having on them as an individual at a subjective level, but they saw that as they taught those same methods, meditations, chants, and, working with different musical instruments, and so forth, the breath work, all of these things, they passed them on through the generations and saw that, these tools work for everybody when they use them. And so that's, again, speaking to that inner technology that is the best technology that we can learn to harness.
Well, it is, Theresa. So now I'm going to come back the other direction. We live, because this isn't happening in a vacuum, we live in a society where we're being conditioned that we are flawed as a species, and that we need something outside of us to be healthy in our bodies and to be successful in life.
It's a great way to drive consumerism.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
And technology is being touted as the savior, and the replacement of biology with technology. So I'll make a distinction. There are different levels of this. If we use contact lenses, that's an external technology that helps us in the world, and I think that's fine. We begin replacing skin and organs and tissues and neurons with artificial intelligence on computer chips embedded into the tissue. That's a whole different story. And what the science is, I'm just researched the articles on this. I didn't know we were going to talk about it. I don't have them here. But the science is very, very clear that we have the biological adage is use it or lose it. So if we don't use our systems and if we don't use the neurons in the cells, our body assumes that they're not needed and they stop producing them. So we now know, for example, that we produce new neurons in the brain up until the last breath of life. We used to think it was a fixed number, and we know it's not. But we also know that when a new neuron is produced, it must be engaged in a meaningful way within 2 weeks of production, or it will atrophy and die because it's not being used. So now think about it. We got three-year-old kids. They wake up in the morning, they eat their Captain Crunch, Crispies or whatever it is for breakfast. They go sit in the living room and they put on a VR visor, a virtual reality visor, and for hours they are watching colors, intense colors that they would never see in the backyard. And they are seeing sounds and sights. But here's the key. It's all being done for them. So they are observers rather than using their imagination and their creativity that we did when we were kids to make forts in the backyard and to make alternative realities to experience. And now the studies are showing, first, the visual cortex is thickening in the young people, which impacts their cognitive abilities, and not necessarily in a good way, but their developmental abilities, their socialization with other kids, naturally, is waning because they're not doing it. But their cognitive abilities, their cognitive development is being impacted because they are not being stimulated to do these things on their own. This is the first generation where this has happened. And
this conscious conversation was created, produced, and recorded by Dr. Theresa Bullard-Whyke in collaboration with Gregg Braden and edited by Verse Content and HH Films and Photo. The theme music was created by Tim Mountain of Even Load Productions. Quantum Minds TV is a product of the Quantum Learning Academy.